Hello again. Thank you very much for joining me here on Movie Ninja. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the film The Paper Tigers. This is one of the best dramas I've seen recently intermixed with the martial arts subgenre. I can't call it a martial arts action movie because it's not. It's more than that. This was a surprisingly character-driven story about the mistakes that we make in our youth and how they affect us pretty much for the rest of our lives. So before I get too far ahead, what's the movie about? One night, in a shadowy alley behind a Chinese restaurant, a kung fu master is murdered. Okay, so we have the typical beginnings and the typical trappings of most martial arts action films. A master has been murdered and he must be avenged, of course. What the film does actually is look at the three primary characters. Now, the master who was murdered is called Master Chung, and his three students, in their prime, they were called the Three Tigers of Master Chun because they were top-tier martial artists. And when they were younger, when they were boys, and when they were young men in their teens, they were inseparable. They were brothers. Unfortunately, as life does to all of us, we get older, we make mistakes, and we separate ourselves from those that we knew. Sometimes this is for the best, and sometimes it's a burdensome mistake. And that's what the film focuses on. The film, while set up in a typical manner of what could easily turn into a revenge quest, instead looks at the lives of these three now middle-aged men and shows to the audience exactly as to how they came to be in these present circumstances, and how not so much the death of their master, but the memory of what their master taught them, not just the martial arts, but more of what exactly it means to be a family. And even as I say that, I know that some people are going to write, well, that's corny. But that's the story. The story, more than the martial arts, focuses on the mistakes that these men have made and what has made them estranged from not just their master, because none of them knew immediately how their master was living, what he was doing, who he was interacting with, or certainly not what could have brought him into a situation where he was attacked and killed. Yes, that's a very extraordinary circumstance to bring people together. Death often unifies people or just scatters them, But the film and the director, Mr. and I'm going to refer to my notes for this because I don't want to mispronounce his name. I'm trying to be respectful. Tran Quoc Bao. What Mr. Tran Quoc Bao focused on is these three men as characters. And slowly, during the course of the investigation of their master, they have to do something truly terrifying, and that is look at themselves and reflect on their past. This is one of the best martial arts films I've seen in recent years, but it's not so much because of its martial arts. The martial arts actors that are in this film, they do a great job. But the story is more profound than that. The story examines who they are and how they came to be where they are, at this time in their life. and examines what it takes to really reconcile with people that either you've distanced yourself from or people that you've wronged, that you've betrayed. You know? It's not simply a matter of the simple apology. Hey, man, when we were teenagers, we did these stupid things. I'm sorry about that. I wish it turned out different. Oh, yeah, man. I completely understand. Okay, we're good now. No. It goes beyond that. So there is much more depth than I was expecting. The the film, the buzz quotes on the posters online, and even the one that I've used for my thumb, as you can see, describe it in little snippets to showcase why you should watch this. It's a rare treat. It's funny. It's very well balanced. That's another thing that it has going for it. It has a very good story and is very well balanced. The martial arts, the characters and their interactions with each other, and humor. There is some humor. It's pretty... It's more like garnish for, the main course of a meal. It's there, but the film doesn't go out of its way to try and make you laugh. Because, more than anything, this is a drama. It's very down to earth, and as a modern film with these modern themes and a modern context, well, sometimes you can't punch and kick your way out of every single problem that you have. So, with regards to exactly how they've come to be distant from each other and how they came to be distant from the master, they have to understand what to do if and when they find their master's murderer. Because once again, this is not your typical action flick. It's more than that. And I appreciate that. It's refreshing. I started watching martial arts films when I was growing up, mostly because of one of my favorite movies, The Karate Kid. I'll talk about that at some point in a future video. But what I appreciate about that is that on Daniel LaRusso's journey towards becoming a student of karate, he has to learn about himself, and of course he has to learn about his master. And there's that human element that we see in the best sports movies that it's very rare in martial arts films. Now, hey, I have my fair share of martial arts films. I love them. I love them because they also inspired me to study martial arts. And with that, this is a film that is distilled from the director's, some of the director's personal events in their life, and exactly how you can use these teachings about martial arts in a modern setting. So I highly recommend this. I'm actually not going to give this one a grade because I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to put it in a light that might make people say, well, he likes martial arts films, so, that's why he's giving it such a high score. And at the same time, I really don't want to give it anywhere close to a score that would simply appeal to the majority audience. Because it deserves more. This deserves a wide audience attention. It is the first film by this director. All of the actors involved did a great job. The focus being on middle-aged actors rather than the youngest, the most buff, tank-looking athletes that they could possibly get. That's also refreshing, seeing people that are not in their late teens or 20s and are still models. I appreciate that as well, expanding the age horizon as well. So Now, some of you may be seeing this where it's like, he doesn't seem as animated as he typically does, because I want more people to realize that I'm not just trying to generate hype. I really appreciate the themes and the lessons that this film is trying to put across to a much larger audience. And once again, I'm going to put the director's name, of course, in the description. Please, if you have an opportunity, check this film out. It is something extraordinary. I wasn't expecting. I love it. I love what this film did and how it makes people and martial arts practitioners seem less over the top and more human, you know? And that's the thing that when I was learning the martial arts, sometimes you have this idea in your head that to be a good martial artist, you have to look like an action hero. But most martial artists are just normal people. And that's what we interact with when we have, a film of this caliber, examining the norm, but put into an extraordinary circumstance, of course. Now, okay, before I become redundant, I want to thank you all for watching this review. Have you seen The Paper Tigers? Do you have any thoughts on it? Like I said, I'm open to comments, open to respectful comments, but I really do want this film to get as much attention as possible because it was so well done. So, I know that it's available for physical home media. It's going to be available on Netflix in the near future as of the time of this review, and I know it's already available on Amazon Prime for rent. So, please do yourself a favor. It's entertaining and it's surprisingly in depth. Excuse me. But thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.